What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth Debate pre-show and after show goodness. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Now before we go live, we've actually got Ranty Flat Earth with us. How you doing, Ranty?
Doing good, thank you. How are you?
Very well. You in a bathroom?
Do you know that's about 4 people that have said that? I'm in this box room of this place that I've just moved into. So it's a 4-bedroomed house that we bought, and this is going to be the office. But I don't think it's going to be the office for very long because this echo is driving me nuts. So I'm going to move to another bedroom.
Well, then, no. You just need to put some furniture in it. So that was something that I used to. It was one of those rather profitable things that I dealt with when I was a hi-fi retailer, so acoustic dampening. But there's all sorts of things you can do for next to nothing, but just buy a throw rug or chuck a throw rug down in there and that'll sort out the reflections immediately.
It's actually got a carpet. It's got a carpet in, it's got a big desk in, 2 TVs, computer. It's got no curtains up, so maybe that's probably one of the reasons. Yeah,
definitely. You just need more soft furnishings that you need, so tables, they're just another reflective surface for the sound to bounce off. So you need sort of uneven, soft furnishings if you want to kill, or just move to another room, which is what you said originally. I went nuts with it at one point. This room, before I refused to decorate it, and my wife came in one day before we were married, and just pulled down a piece of wallpaper that was peeling. And of course I went absolutely nuts. Yes, that's right. We had to redecorate, didn't we? So, when somebody forces you into redecorating, and in here it's an absolute nightmare because there's all this equipment. So I had to get it all out in order to recarpet it and redecorate it. But before I did that, before it was decorated, I'd got it perfect. I'd got all of the reflections sorted. I'd gone to a great deal of effort, and it was completely dead. But it sounded totally lifeless. It's weird. You get it acoustically almost perfect, and it just loses all its life. In other words, without the reflections, it kind of sounded boring. So when I redid it, I left it reflective, and it's like, And I find myself enjoying music. That said, my amp's broken. It's going back again today.
Oh God, that again? Really?
Yeah, same amp. It just keeps crackling, and it's
get a new one.
I explained to the guy, I was like, I use it to broadcast, so as much as I'm reluctant to send it back to you, the problem is, while it is working, it does produce sound, but because it crackles, it means that I don't know if it's my equipment or somebody with a crackly mic that I need to tell to sort it out, and that's obviously no good. I can't have audio equipment that's crackling. It needs to be clean. So yeah, I've just got to send it back again for the 3rd time.
Nightmare.
There we go. That's life.
Indeed.
I like your house. I saw your live stream about you wanting to leave or nearly leaving YouTube.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's the drama. I mean, I'm not really one for drama, even though you'd think the name Ranty Rant. I mean, the original idea behind the name Ranty was so that because I had a broader scale. I had a broader vision of what I wanted to take the channel down. I wanted to talk about a whole host of different stuff. So it was a case of just going to be ranting about lots of different stuff, So, as for actually debate, I mean, and it wasn't going to be like doing live debates and stuff, and I didn't even know this part existed of YouTube that you could actually join live debates. So, now that you're actually in live debates with people, it's not really my personality to have arguments with people all the time. So to see all the trolls and stuff, I mean, it's just, it's just something that I'm not really into,
Yeah, I heard you talking about Mark Taylor, and obviously I knew you while that was going on, and it's just so close to the bone, isn't it? It's so personal.
It is. I mean, there's no need for it. I mean, he hasn't said anything recently. I mean, this was stuff that he was saying perhaps 3 months ago. So essentially, because I've been basically ignoring him about that, I'd sort of like pushed it to one side and he'd forgotten about it. And at the time, other people were jumping on it as well. But that wasn't really phasing me because I expect that from the Globers. What I don't expect is, the flat earthers turning, and sort of like eating their own kind of thing. And it just feels that is what's happening at the moment. And I don't understand why, because, essentially, if you look at my channel, there's nothing really there to pick up on as like I'm some kind of agent or shill or something. So to actually be being called that, it kind of, came out of nowhere, essentially. So
that's new on me. What do you mean being called? Who's calling you a shill? What the hell? I don't know anything
exactly.
about this.
John Watson, multi-tom-tom asked me to take his wrench off him. Pete Shea's at it is normal. He does it with everybody. But, these are people that are actually in the chats quite a lot. And if you've noticed, since they've actually started going on this shill campaign against me, my subscribers have been dropping, which, okay, I'm not really too fussed about that. But if people are actually believing that, and actually leaving my channel because of that, it makes me question, what their motives are behind this. Why would they be doing that when essentially all I've done is basically try to do what I do for the good of flat Earth? I'm not asking anybody for anything.
No, I get it. I totally understand. That's so frustrating. I mean, obviously, when I was challenging Globebusters and saying we've not got a scientific experiment here, I totally appreciated well before I did it that it would be detrimental to my subscriber count, and I accepted that. It's like, well, I'm going after truth in this regard, not subscribers. Typically it's the other way around, right? I'm first to admit that I'm here to be a successful YouTuber, but in that instance, it's like, no, this is about the topic and nothing else. And if there's detriment to my channel, then so be it. Because I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. In your instance, you're not doing that. You're not challenging other flat earthers on controversial subjects. You're just putting out your information, doing your research. A lot of the globeheads come along and say it's evidence for them, but that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. You're just looking at the world around you through the lens of your camera. What's wrong with that?
Well, I look at it as a different way. I look at it as that, a lot of people will say that, for instance, John Watson said that there are other channels that have gone down this route in the past, talking about inferior mirages, talking about compression and all this stuff. Well, to be fair, the reaction that I'm getting with the people that I've associated with and have seen how this argument has progressed with compression, for instance, it seems to me that that's just a lie, because it doesn't seem that, other people were aware of this kind of phenomena that was going on at the horizon, even though John Watson is putting this rhetoric out that, oh, it's already known. We've already known this for years. You're doing nothing special, blah, 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 blah. So it kind of demoralized me in a way, because I'm thinking, well, okay, well, I put all this effort in to actually understand the optical phenomena of the horizon and how that's tricking humanity, or has been used to trick humanity into believing that we live on a globe, and obviously seeing obstruction and trying to detail that, and then to hear that other people are trying to put that kind of work down and say that it's already been known, other people have already done it before, you're not doing anything new, blah, 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 blah. It's very frustrating, because I don't see it. I have looked and I really can't find anybody else that's really put any kind of work in like I've done. So I just don't understand what they're doing it for. What's the purpose behind trying to spread these, lies, as far as I'm concerned?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You're covering this stuff while simultaneously the globeheads, in quotes, are saying it's just geometry. In other words, perspective exclusive. In other words, all of these effects that you're going out and observing, that they just say, oh, it's simple geometry, we're just seeing Earth curve, when we beg the question and use our mathematical model to assert that a perspective exclusive side elevation world is what we experience when we look through a camera. It's like, no, it's not. We're told that these effects, that, like I say, all of the Globers hijack from you, Ranty, that these effects are Earth curve. Geometry only. No, we need to have a look at all of these things again and start figuring out what they actually are. And they're definitely not Earth curve. It's definitely not geometric earth curve obstruction because we're not seeing side elevation. It's not comparable. But do I want to know what's going on at the horizon? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting.
And here's the other thing. You know, I mean, I've been detailing stuff that I've actually seen at the beach, trying to put it to people without actually knowing the terms about it. And then obviously I've researched it later. So for instance, the tidal bore, for instance, that happens at Barrow in that channel. So if it happens in the Barrow channel, it's likely to happen in other channels or inlets where you've got this funneling of water going on. So that's a very interesting phenomenon for people trying to see why you get obstruction that is clear obstruction with water, because it can be a localized bulge in that particular area due to the pressure of the water being pushed up against into a funnel. So it's obviously going to bulge in that particular area. Also, looking at barotropic tides. Now, I'd spoken about how when you've got the tide coming in, so you've got the tide pushing up against the sand, so it's going into a very narrow, shallow area. So from the deep to the shallow, and I've talked about how that area is likely to have some localized bulging too. And then it turns out that that's true. So you can look at barotropic tides, and that's exactly what happens. It's an effect that happens when you go from the deep ocean to the shallows. So if you're observing a boat, and to be fair, this is on every landmass or every continent, when you go down to the beach, at some point, looking across the water, you will encounter some kind of trough, where it goes deep down fast. And that's where you're going to get this barotropic tide pushing the water higher in that particular area. And it literally mixes the water. So you've got the shallows mixing with the deeper water. It causes all this mixing and turbulence. And that mixing and turbulence artificially increases the height of the water in that location. So if you're trying to view a boat that's beyond that, what you're going to be doing is looking across a localized area of water that is artificially higher than the mean level of the water everywhere else. So it will cause obstruction. And until you start looking into this and understanding that the topography of the land under the water is going to have an effect on a flat water. So we all know water finds its level, but with the tides and the pressure of the water moving around, it is going to have an effect. The topography of the land underneath is going to have an effect on the water at the very top. That's why you get waves and all this kind of stuff, and you get the channels where the boats are coming in and out into the harbours and stuff. So you've got faster water in those areas and slower water in the shallows, and in the deeper water where the boat's going, it's going faster, and that causes turbulence. There's all this kind of stuff that we need to look at. So when people say it's flat water, it is flat water generally, but you do get localized areas where there is artificial bulging due to the topography of the land. That was a bit of a rant, actually.
No, not at all. There was one stage where I tried to interrupt, but yeah, you were on a roll, so I didn't want to. But is this exactly the same as tidal bores, or is that something totally different?
No, tidal bores are... it's some... you could say it's similar, but the tidal bore is literally water piling up over the water that's stationary. So you've got the stationary water, and then you've got the tide pushing in, and it's literally clambering over the top of the water, right? So it's clambering over it. So you can actually physically see this wave roll up the estuary. Whereas barotropic tides is basically you've got the water in the shallows and the water in the deep, and as the water's pushing in or receding, either way, where those two areas meet, there's a line where these two meet, and it causes the water to mix. And as it mixes, it kind of like churns it, a bit. It kind of churns it. That's all the best way I can sort of describe it. So it churns it in that area, and it causes an artificial bulge just in that localized area. Let's say a couple of 100 meters in width, just in that area on the slope So as the slope goes down, that's where this mixing occurs, and that's where you get this artificial bulging in that area. And it's only across those, it's only across those ridges. But if you look at every continent has these ridges. You go from shallow to deep. So everywhere you will encounter a barotropic tide, every single where. And that's why you can never see forever, because that will artificially increase the height of the water in that area.
Sure. I mean, this fits into the category of atmospheric conditions. So you've got, the clarity of the air on the day, the temperature or differential in temperature if you're looking over water. You've got the tides that actually physically cause obstruction depending on the time of day and how high they are. And then, obviously, in addition to that, depending on the location, you've got these tidal bores like Jose got.
Yeah, his especially, because he was actually filming through a very narrow channel. So you had the tide pushing in through a very, very, very tight funnel, and that was causing very clear wave-like properties of the water, and you could see it. You could see it on this video very clearly. It was a really good demonstration of a tidal. Well, it wouldn't be a tidal bore. It would be more of a channel kind of something in that. I can't say what it would be, but you can definitely see that the water was being raised up in that area.
It's just a funnel, isn't it? It's just a narrowing. So you've got either the water flows faster through that area to get through the narrower gap with the amount of water pushing in behind it, or more likely it can't get through, so it's going to rise up because you've got a physically bigger volume of water that can fit through the space, which pushes the water up as the tide comes in into that channel.
Yeah, exactly. And Mick West, you've seen that Mick West has removed the bulge now from his curve calculator, I would assume.
Remove bulge?
Yes. So, before you used to have bulge on, we would say, where's the bulge? Where's this hump of water? Where's this wall of water, this 40-foot wall of water that's in the way, this bulge? We used to talk about
it. So to get around that awkward detail, he's just removed it.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. That's priceless.
Do you know what also he's done?
I noticed that he'd done something with adding the angular resolution after the geometric calculator.
He's added the angular size.
Well, he hasn't. I watched your full video and you did a really good job of pulling it apart, actually. But ultimately speaking, he hasn't added angular size. He's given you an angular size for the result. Well, that's very different to calculating the angular size. He doesn't. You put in the same exact measurements and the same exact maths that you did on the old calculator. In other words, it's based on geometry only. Now, the fact that you can extrapolate a feet and inches value from the geometry calculator and then give that an angular size doesn't mean they're accounting for perspective in any way, shape or form. It's just the same as Walter Bislin's done.
True. I'm actually, you saw the point that I made to Rory about his 5K challenge?
Yeah, did you? I don't know if you realised this already, but Zach was the first one to take him up. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Not too bad. I mean, you're right, but ultimately speaking, it's Zach that was the first to approach him about it and say, here you go, here's my video from a year and a half ago that demonstrates where perspective is excluded from the calculator. Now, since then, we've evolved on to the point where we're no longer calling it excluding, and it's hijacking. So the effects of perspective are what they call Earth curvature. And to assert that there's perspective included in a geometry calculation is just stupid. The guy's obviously thick.
Well, here's the thing, if you look at Mick West and his diagram, he has just hidden and visible. So there's a red line for hidden, there's a green line for visible. And that's on his thing that you can play with, his animation thing. So basically when you do is when you input the stuff, the calculations and what have you, if something's beyond the horizon, obviously it's still visible, right? But it doesn't have a grey area. He doesn't have a grey area, which would be the angular size is too small to be resolved. So essentially it should be hidden. You should have a grey area, which is basically the angular size is too small to be resolved, and then you should have a visible section. So this is where he's missing it in the curve calculators, and all curve calculators for that point. I'm just actually doing a video, a more concise video about it, specifically on this point, which is that from a distance of 34 miles away, looking at Blackpool Tower, elevation 6 feet, at spring tide, you know, all that kind of stuff to try and make it as accurate as possible. Essentially, we should see 4 feet of the top of the tower. So basically where the flagpole is and the flag that flies at the top, you should essentially see some of the flag, if not most of the flag. But the angular size at that distance is 0.004 degrees or arc seconds. So it is so small that you couldn't even see it with a 10-meter telescope, right? It's impossible. So it literally is hidden. It's not visible, or it's invisible. Yeah, and that isn't accounted for in their calculator.
Absolutely. Life is Short summed this up beautifully. As soon as you get them to concede that things disappear with distance because of their angular resolution or because of the diffraction limit, then you have won the argument. Because as soon as you get a globehead to concede that things can and do disappear with distance, then that absolutely should be accounted for when you're looking at things with distance. But they don't. They just apply geometry and they put it in side view. And this is the mathematics prior to them saying, here's the angular size for the end result and what you can see, after putting it in side view, removing all aspects of perspective, and then claiming that the side elevation, geometric only calculations are the reason something has disappeared with distance. When we know things just disappear with distance because they get too small to see. Sod all to do with Earth curve. That is, in essence, the hijacking of perspective. So to say, well, where's your perspective in it? Well, they can't. They're calling perspective Earth curve.
Well, his claim, his challenge is this. It's a very one-sentence statement. It's £5,000 on the table if you can prove that the curve calculators don't include perspective. Right? That's it. That's a very concise. That's the question. That if you can prove that they don't include perspective, then he will give you £5,000. Well, the video that I'm detailing, which is exactly what I've just explained to you there, that the curve calculator would say that including standard refraction, you know, we should see 4 feet of the top of the tower. We should see it. I should be able to get the P900 out and just see it. It should be there, no problem. However, the angular size is too small to be resolved. So you could even go you could go further than that, and you could include, say, the top 10 or 15 foot of the tower, and it would still be too small to see. So in other words, the top 15 feet at sea level would be too small to see. And you know, when you're looking at Blackpool Tower, you know those observations that we did, me and Tony, from Hoy Lake, and we were trying to look at Blackpool Tower, and we saw down to basically where the ballroom is. I'd say the top 100 feet or so was the bottom 100 feet was missing. You could almost exclusively say that 100 feet is in the very smallest of angles that you wouldn't be able to see it. So everything that we could see physically due to its angular size was seen, and it was certainly a lot more than the curve calculators would say. And everything that was below that 100 feet was too small, literally too small. The angle was too shallow to actually be seen.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Slick James Johnson, Ranty Flat Earth, and Paul. Shout out to Colin Turner for hitting the super chat. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey Nathan, before you get into housekeeping, I can't be on very long. I wanted to bring up just something maybe for future conversation. Obviously, I was on vacation last week, so that's why I couldn't be on the show. But I did make an observation that we went to Jamaica for my company provided a vacation for us, and one thing I noticed, and I asked the Jamaicans this for sure, but they don't have any title like tides. They don't have it there at all. So this is something as an interesting observation according to the heliocentric model. If it's caused by moon's gravitational force, it should be all over, but Jamaica has no tides.
Pretty crazy.
I know, ain't it though? And we watched it. We were there for like 5 days, and we were, the ocean stayed at the same level the whole time we were there. So it doesn't exist.
Bizarre. Right, let's do a bit of housekeeping then. Any signs of Earth curvature?
I haven't experienced any.
I haven't seen any.
Paul?
Nope. I didn't even see none in Jamaica. They don't have it down there either.
Jamaica. What about axial rotation? Any signs of that?
No experience of that either.
I haven't seen any of that either.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Same answer.
Same answer.
No scientific evidence
Same
of
here.
gravity. Fair enough. What about the distance to the sun? Any signs of that?
I have my same. The sun is where it needs to be for my experience.
Excluding experience, I haven't got any answer for that, Nathan, other than we don't know how far the sun is. Who even knows if it's real?
It's definitely real, we can see it, but what it is a different story. What about any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Can you say that backwards?
Backwards? Any evidence that the presupposed spherical Earth has a molten iron core at the centre of it?
It's just a belief.
Absolutely. But I hold out so much hope, Slick, that somebody will show us that molten iron core. No? What about evidence that we can have a gas pressure without a container for all the heliocentric idiots that believe there is a vacuum next to the gas pressure we all breathe?
Just said the magic word, believe.
Last but not least, any evidence of the R value? Earth radius?
Nothing.
What would be the would it be the F value? Any proof of F? Is this what the Globers would have to say if they were trying to say what's the proof of a flat Earth?
Sure, my response is, the Earth is obviously and observably flat, as admitted by many a heliocentric priest.
Anyway, congratulations, Nathan.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all the people in the chat saying congratulations, really appreciate it. She's fast asleep right next to you.
Are you going to tell us the name of the baby?
Clover.
Clover?
Yep, Clover, Clover.
Just one name, you've not got a middle name with it as well?
No, don't bother with middle names. So it's just Eleanor Oakley and Clover Oakley. How you doing, UK Truth?
Hi Nathan, congrats.
Good to have you.
Yeah, congratulations, Nathan. I didn't get a chance to tell you that on the Skype.
Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it.
I did
Nathan,
get some beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry, Slick.
No,
Sorry.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's okay.
I got some beautiful shots of a flat water sunset with, sun going all the way to the horizon. Some beautiful shots. I'll try to post them when I get a chance or share them when I get a chance.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, please. I was watching a Top Gear excerpt today where they went to Botswana. How you doing, Arwin? Good to have you.
Hello.
Hello. And one of the things that James May said during this Botswana crossing, so they're going across, or was it Bolivia? I forget. In any event, they're travelling across a great big massive salt flat in these cars. And when they get halfway across, James May says, you can see the curvature of the earth while he's on the ground looking at these salt flats. Hey, my warped mind and chocolate saying.
Yo, checker.
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello, good to have you. You've got your watch page playing again, my warped mind. I've only said it 891 times or whatever it is. Mute your watch page.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's Clover doing?
She'll wake up at some point, and if she does, I'll stick her on camera.
Awesome.
So yeah, just
So what about the complex?
Amuses me that they can say that they can see Earth curve from the ground, on Top Gear, and you're just like, did a producer tell him to say that, or did he genuinely think that he was looking at Earth curve from the ground across these salt flats?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy. We've been parasailing too, and even up probably 50 or 60 feet, or who knows how high. Still nothing. It's pretty crazy, but you could see for miles and miles and miles on that beautiful Jamaican water. So
it's like this in the videos. I mean, even Jeremy Clarkson at one point said the flat horizon was interrupted because they're travelling across this like dried up lake, and oh dear. And when they get to the islands that would have been in the lake, the way he phrased it was the flat horizon was interrupted, or words to that effect. I can't exactly remember the exact phrase, but essentially what he's saying is it looks completely flat until you see an island in the distance coming up over the horizon. And Clarkson's view was to say that it looks perfectly flat, and every piece of footage that they showed it completely flat.
yeah, I know, it's crazy. I couldn't take my P900, and obviously we didn't have a lot of time anyway, so I couldn't do a whole lot, so I was using my phone. But still, it was beautiful. So I'll share them with you when I probably may not be today because I got to get off here in a minute, but I'll share them with you guys a little bit, maybe tomorrow or something, some of the shots I got.
Cool. That's my favourite bit of the show, when people bring basically their holiday snaps of really cool horizons, because it's epic, right? It's beautiful. We live in a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Hey, Nathan, before you move into your next segment, I want to make a quick statement, just whenever you get a chance.
Go ahead, Slick. There is no segment.
Okay. I want to send a shout out to this guy. I just sort of ran into him Saturday. His name is Democ or Democ, something like that. Demmoch. Man, he came on Discord and wore out the whole room, led by Jim Panda. He tore them all up. I mean, it was just the most exquisite thing that I've seen. And not only did he wear them out, but he called them every name in the book in the process of doing it. In other words, you know how Globers get when they start, attacking you and calling you all kinds of names. Well, not only did he devastate their argument, but he out-trolled them at the same time. Man, my hats off to this guy. Definite big shout out, Democ. This guy.
What's his name again? What's his name again?
It's Demmoch.
Democ. Shout out to Leonardo Gonzalez for the super chat. Says congratulations on your new baby.
I know them. Them is good peeps.
Although he's called me Anthony.
Shout
for
out
some
to
reason.
them.
Very good.
And I really enjoyed it because it turns out that Jim Panda is really a character. So really kind of watching him get destroyed like that was I was laughing so hard. I can't even tell you the last time that I laughed that hard at the same time watching somebody deliver a devastating argument.
Can you remember any of the specifics of the arguments that were devastating?
Well, what he was doing was he was just doing what, you know, how typical Globers are with their non-evidence. They just couldn't run anything past him. Everything that they tried to run past him, he caught it and just ripped it apart and called them every name in the book in the process. I wish I could have had it recorded. It was just unbelievable.
Cool.
Absolutely amazing.
Very cool.
So I liberated them on every point.
I'd love to see it. Hopefully we'll get to meet this chap.
Yeah, hopefully. That was all.
Flat Earthers are kicking ass at the moment.
Yeah, and what, like I said, what made it so interesting is that was his first time. You know, that was his first time on that Discord. It's not like he's a regular. He just came out of the blue.
Shout out to
You reckon we'll get Wiggles in tonight?
Oops. Shout out to Rebel Rob TV for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Say again, my what mind?
I was just saying, do you think Wiggles is going to come and say good day?
I honestly don't know.
He's such a troll, that guy.
Well, Arwen was saying he's psychotic on account of the fact that even though in the face of devastating arguments, he'll still proceed with the same exact argument. I don't know why you used the word psychotic, but that was the word you used, Darwin.
Right, because he no longer understands the normal logical consequences of things. He loses track over reality, how it actually functions in the process, and that is psychosis. Just doesn't understand literally what he's doing anymore. See? He's doing it, but he's
Did he
losing his
understand
focus
it in the
as
first
he
place,
does
though?
it.
That's the question. Did he understand in the first place?
Well, he thought he understood it, but he was basically just following scripture. And then eventually, when he's actually tested and understanding it, he just loses track.
Shout out to Sean
He
Tibbets.
comes across to me as narcissistic and arrogant. Just here to really just talk shit, basically. Yeah.
Arrogant, yes. Narcissistic, no. Narcissistic means lack of empathy. It wasn't that he didn't empathise.
Yeah. I was going along with the
Well,
lines of psychotic.
the last couple of times he came in, he kind of had a strategy, right? Like he came in and tried to get Nathan on a couple of gotchas, right? So he tried to, I don't know, kind of formulate or try to have Nathan formulate some type of affirming the consequence by, you know, saying that, I forget what he did. It was something about like the F value, you know, some crap like that. He did the last time he was here. And then the other day,
I saw him.
right. And then the other day he tried to, you know, kind of catch Nathan on, you know, claiming that's a barrier, but renaming it as a dome. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying?
Was him trying to do angular effect with a Rubik's cube. And Nathan was explaining it to him, and he just wouldn't. Yeah, I had to leave. I couldn't put up with him.
Yeah, Ranty did a good job over the weekend. So Ranty was also talking. It's weird because Ranty hadn't actually seen the debate prior to that. He came out with it off the back of Rory. But it was just a weird coincidence that on a pre-recorded show that went out the same day as Ranty doing his piece, that we ended up with a really nice, you know, two-pronged attack from both Ranty and the debate, where we're pointing out that there's no perspective in the calculator. Not that we haven't pointed this out hundreds of times before, literally hundreds of times. But yeah, it was just nice that we're both attacking it. Slightly different approaches from both of us, but Ranty was absolutely on point. Obviously, I was right on point.
If you say so.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, there's no
Hey guys,
perspective.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cut. I'll enjoy you guys. I'll try to jump on sometime either tomorrow or next day. See you guys.
Thank you, Paul. Look forward to seeing
Take
the
it easy.
pictures.
All right, later, Paul.
Yeah, just beggars belief, really. These people aren't keeping up to date with the flat Earth debate if they're to assert that perspective is included in the calculations. Hey, Jose.
How you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Hey.
It is fun though when they.
That's right, yeah. I came in for
You
two
wanna
little details. I'm just gonna take me a minute. First,
What's up,
congratulations
Jose?
from my wife and myself, Nathan, on your baby, because that's it's a blessing. So congratulations on that, big
Thank
time.
you very much.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much of an a-hole you are, but that's something. It has nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, I have to do it. Uh, and Slick, number two, that was the last second point. You are full of shit. Sorry for the shit part. Because that one kid that came into the Discord, I was there for the whole interaction. He came in hot, just trolling, name calling, don't letting anybody talk, interrupted a conversation, and he just took over the whole room. But like insulting and saying the C word and the N word and you A and you F this. Like he didn't let anybody speak. Jim Panda felt the only thing he could do was kick him out of the room, and then it was peace again. It's like me. If I just start talking and insulting every single one of you, pointing names, you are this, you are that, that would be horrible. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you, and congratulations again, Nate.
Just like to point out that Jose has come in and called me an asshole. Just want to point that out to the audience. Thank you, Jose. You stupid idiot.
Then I would also like to respond by saying that Jim Panda was in control of the mute button. So the guy wasn't just in there just doing his own thing. Jim Panda was muting him at every turn, and it still didn't help him. He still wore Jim Panda out. And then what happened was when he would unmute him, then when Democ started talking, Jim Panda would overtalk him. So that's how that.
Thanks, Jose.
Sorry. Yeah, all right. I gotta get out of here. The plain truth will be on with me later. See you later, guys.
Take it easy, Jose.
Nathan, are you guys having a baby or you've had a baby?
Yeah, 2 days ago, so 13th.
Oh, congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
Is that your third?
Second.
Second. Cool. Vasectomy now or no, another one?
Say again.
I've got 3.
I don't know if I want a third one because this is the second C-section.
Yeah, come on. Come on.
Let's see how we get on.
This 10 kids, 10 girls.
Do it.
This one's totally different. So the first was really, really loud, quiet, like crying, constantly crying. Still like it now. Whereas this one has hardly made a sound the entire time. I kid you not.
Awesome.
Yeah, so very much so. We were praying, please God, send us one that sleeps.
Well, it's probably because your first kid always has the most ancestral memories.
Maybe.
So they're going to be the most troubled in relating to other progeny after that.
Are you saying
Apparently,
genetically, firstborn child's got more memory of past events?
No, as ancestral imprinted memory. It's a thing. Weird.
Kind of like DNA memory? Is that what you meant?
Yes. Well, it just has the most impact and the most imprint because of that. Because it is very... Look, getting your first child is like a giant experience, just like falling really in love the first time. It's incredible what that does. And it causes, apparently, more imprint to happen. So...
That sounds cool. Yeah.
It is. It's very ethereal, but it is said that the first child always gets more ancestral memories than the rest of them.
We're actually proving that DNA actually has memory, which aids in evolution.
Well, it's not necessarily the DNA. That's what I'm saying. It's more about that it's the first child and the experience and energies that come with that. So during that energy transfer, there's just more imprinted. It's more like spiritual memory, almost, you could say. It's complicated.
I reckon it's also like when you have your first child, you're like really protective and you like nurture the first one. Then the second one, you're just like, you're right, just lay there, shut up. No. Joking, I'm not that bad.
It depends on the kid.
Well, it was the same with me. I was a very not screamy, cryy child, and I was the second child. And my brother, I don't know, he was okay. He did scream a little bit more as a baby, apparently. I don't know, this is just going all over the place.
Yeah, well, after 3, I came up with a little
first child have more spiritual burdens.
Yeah. Well, I reckon after 3, it's a vasectomy for me. A little bit of a poem there.
To bring the subject back onto flat Earth a bit. So, where do you think this is going? So, at the moment, we're in a situation where we've got quite a few flat Earthers asserting the reality that the geometric calculations don't include perspective and, in fact, are hijacking them. And we've got idiots like this Rory guy saying, "Oh, of course it includes perspective," and getting proved wrong at every turn. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they'll just keep asserting, we don't need perspective?
You're forgetting one. There's also Rumpus and others, remember? The premiere that I did, that claim it doesn't include perspective, but it doesn't need to. Because they work around that somehow and then suggest, oh, look, you can use it for a viewing function. So it's almost like the same concept as, but the gas pressure can be next to the vacuum because gravity is holding it there. It's on that level. And Rumpus does literally say that. He said that repeatedly. It doesn't need to have a viewing function, even though they're comparing the results with actual pictures, thus applying a viewing function. They claim they can just do that. That's all right.
They can do it. And what they're doing is they're taking viewing functionality, which includes perspective, and calling it Earth curve by putting it inside elevation, reifying an R value, and ignoring the actual effects of things disappearing with distance. That would be perspective, and calling it geometric only Earth curve, not viewing functionality. That's what the calculator does. And as Wiggles put it, I'm just calculating the height. Well, what about the fact that things disappear? Oh, well, I'm going to pick something that's big enough that won't disappear. Oh, so things could disappear, Wiggles, but those aren't the things you'll measure. Right, okay. So we've definitely got the case where things disappear with distance, but that's going to be ignored. It's not necessary according to Rumpus. Yeah, it is. That's reality. That's perspective. We don't see geometrically. We see with perspective.
And it's proven.
If they don't believe in it.
And we proved that it can be used like that as well. With the earlier, this is some time ago, half a year or more, when we compared the orthographic view of an obstruction of a certain height, and then took another obstruction, like a piece of wood, of twice the height, and then compared it geometrically from an orthographic view, how it should line up with a camera, and what should be seen and not. And then you showed it how it actually looks in the setup with a real camera. And it didn't match because it was a viewing function, a perspective was applying, and that yields different results than an orthographic geometrical line and all that. It doesn't work the same. And we proved that. So every time you're going to have an orthographic view and trying to then compare that to something with a viewing function, you already know it doesn't match because we proved that.
Yeah, viewing is what we're doing. We're comparing it to a view. So this calculator, according to Rumpus, isn't performing viewing functionality. Well, what are we doing when we look at a picture? Is that viewing functionality? Absolutely. Does it include perspective? Absolutely. Does it include the diffraction limit? Absolutely. Are any of those things included in the geometric only calculator for Earth curve? No. All of those effects are what is called Earth curvature.
Declared.
Maybe they should just call it Super Muppet Vision.
What is Muppet Vision? But it's good to emphasize why it is so different. And then just calling it a geometrical view or orthographic view, that's very relevant to conceptualize what it really is compared to real sight and perspective and all that.
I was wondering if we could, I don't know if you guys would be keen, making some kind of GoFundMe to maybe get a weather balloon going, because I was researching, they're only like $300 or $400, and then try and mount a camera. Obviously, we can't use a little sports camera because they're all fisheye lenses. I don't know what you'd recommend, but I'd be keen to set something like that up.
I mean, the bottom line, I don't know if Arwen actually asked this question or if I misheard. Did you say, what is Muppet Vision?
Me?
Yeah, maybe I just misheard.
Well, Muppet Vision is the orthographic view
right
setup, right?
So I just want to explain what that is to some of the audience that may or may not understand. So orthographic view is side elevation. So hey
Mario
Glenn,
World view.
Hey Ken, how you doing? Ken Gleck, is it?
Hey Nathan.
Hello, good to have you.
Doing well.
So a side elevation is just, if you imagine you've got on screen now the left-hand extremity of the screen and the right-hand extremity of the screen, and you draw a little man on the left and a little Rubik's Cube on the right, and the distance is, let's just say for the sake of argument, 5 miles from left to right on this page. So just so it's got some sort of visual representation. So here's a little man, and then across the other side of the page in side elevation you've got the thing you're targeting, and you can draw a straight line between one and the other. Hey Flat on Earth, how you doing?
Hello, morning.
Hello. So if you can draw a straight line between you and the Rubik's Cube in orthographic view, that orthographic view is telling you that you can see the Rubik's Cube. Now in reality, at 5 miles, the Rubik's Cube is too small to see. But what they do is they take that straight line and say, well, on a flat Earth, you'd see the Rubik's Cube at 5 miles. Now what we're going to do is take the fact that the Rubik's Cube has disappeared because it's too small to see, and put a side elevation curve between you and the Rubik's Cube, and say that the Rubik's Cube isn't disappearing because it's too small to see, it's disappearing because there's a curve in the way, and the curve they'll show you will be a side view of the curve, because it's a geometric only perspective exclusive calculation. That's why you see side view, and why they claim you can see forever on a flat plane, because in their calculations, geometric only, when you compare that and put the line as a flat line, they say, oh well, you can see this Rubik's Cube at 5 miles. There you go. Why can't we? Well, because it's too small to see. No, it's simple geometry. It's the curve of the Earth in the way.
Yeah, that's lunacy. Still the way I see that.
That story is getting so old about the, declaration of the curve. It's like, man.
Still being declared, though.
They gotta hold on, Slick. They gotta hold on to it, brother. I mean, what are they gonna do if they don't hold on to that? A ball needs a curve. A ball needs some type of curvature. We still haven't found that yet, so they're still scrambling for it. So that's
that would definitely explain the desperation.
So someone in the chat, Be Rational, says the side view isn't straight lines. You can calculate the angular size. Oh, it's moving too fast. We're not working with small cubes. We're looking at boats, buildings, and mountings. Yeah, but if a small cube will disappear at a given distance, Be Rational, so will a boat at a further distance, and so will a building at an even greater distance. But according to geometry, if you've got a flat line, doesn't matter how far that line extends, you can draw another flat straight line on top of it 3,000 miles to your Rubik's Cube and still have your eye meet the Rubik's Cube. Now, according to your geometry maths, you just stick a little curve between you and the thing that's disappeared and say that's what's caused it to go, the obstruction of Earth curve, ignoring the fact that you can't see a Rubik's Cube at 5,000 miles. But in geometry you can. And when you put an Earth curve in the way, well, that's the reason it's gone, isn't it? Earth curves got in the way inside elevation when ignoring all factors of perspective and comparing it to pictures like on screen now, where perspective is absolutely the case. This twig in the near foreground is not the size of the mountain. Yeah? It's tiny. It's a tiny little twig. It just happens to be closer.
And the thing is, as clear and concise as you just explained that, he didn't hear a word you said. He's got a big brick wall in front of him that blocked every single word that you just said. As much sense as it made, he didn't hear one word of it.
No, they just keep on asserting we need geometry. Hello, Soundly's Heroes. How you doing?
All right.
Good to have you.
Right. Good to be here.
What can we do for you, Soundly's Heroes?
Oh, I just want to go through a little list of actions for things disappearing from the bottom up given by flat earthers. Are you ready?
Sorry, you want to do what?
You mean obstruction?
Yeah.
I didn't hear what he
some
said.
of the-
Say that again. You want to do what?
I want to go through some of the explanations given by flat earthers for saying why things disappear from the bottom up on the horizon.
Sorry, has anybody on the panel made any of these claims that you're about to use?
Oh, definitely. Are you
Right.
ready? Hold on to your seats. It's going to be fun. Number 1, perspective.
Are you
2,
selling
angle of
cocaine?
attack. 3, optical select. 4, Aries diffraction. 5, zone of invisibility. 6, circle of confusion. 7, ether band. 8, dirty air. 9, compression. 11,
Hey, buddy,
reverse
you want to
refraction.
talk like a
11,
human being?
conversion.
Hold on.
12, melting. 13, nature's
Number
phase.
10,
14,
breathing in
primal
helium.
wars.
Hold
I
on.
think Sound Heat
Sorry,
Heroes
guys,
is
can you stop
melting.
talking? Hold on.
17,
Hold, guys, why are you rumpusing him?
cleansing. 19,
He's melting.
light.
The
20,
globe is
angular
melting.
resolution.
Guys, can you stop this? Can you just let him talk?
22, diffraction limit. 23, non-uniform density transition zone. 24, curvilinear perspective. 25, curved eyeballs. 26, 3D
What
model
the-
plane clipping. 27, rotational foreshortening. Perspective diminishing. Personal domes horizons.
Do you think he
mirroring,
really
31
sounded like
water
that?
ramps. 33, cone
The way
vision.
you're saying it, we can't
34,
really make out what you're
moisture
saying
deck.
anymore.
Yeah, I know.
35, crowded light
Soundly's
rays, and
Heroes.
36,
Soundly's Heroes. Can you hear me?
bitches.
Can you hear me? What is your point?
Hello.
Clearly you didn't hear me. What
What
is your point?
2 minute thing?
Are you trying to get in the back panel to snipe us?
Soundly's Heroes, what was the point of all of that? Lots of things can cause things to be obstructed, that's correct.
He's gone, is he?
I don't know, he's still in the panel.
I can kick him.
No. Keep him in.
We're going to get an answer? Hello, Soundly's Heroes, what was the point in any of that? Yes, lots of things can cause things to be obscured or disappear completely. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Did you have a point? Were you going to tell us that none of that's accounted for in your globe maths that only uses side elevation?
Is he even still here?
Still on the panel.
He may just have a case of random mouth disorder. That could be too.
No,
Okay.
I think he's a troll and he's just trying to get in the back panel and taking a long time.
What they want to do,
snipe.
Arwin, is they want to say, you have blamed obstruction or disappearing items in the distance on the following things, and then he's listed them off. And while he's listing them, I'm going, yeah. But what they want is us to come up with total bullshit that is the equivalent of their total bullshit.
He's
So
gone.
when they assert it's simple geometry, only the side elevation and only the perspective excluding maths that causes obstruction, they want us to say, oh, it's F that causes it. They want an equivalent to their total bullshit. A simple one fix solution. Blame R. And because we say, well, there's more to it. When we covered this with Life is Short on Ranty's show, it took 6 hours to detail all of the different things that cause things to disappear. There's loads, absolutely tons, and none of them are accounted by the Earth maths. So, Soundly's Heroes, congratulations for demonstrating a massive list of all of the things not accounted for in your globe maths. Well done. Good point.
Ranty, did you snipe him out?
Me? No.
Oh, somebody did. Did you, Nathan?
No.
He
No, I
dropped
just took
and then
him out
somebody
after-
sniped him out.
If I snipe anybody, you can see it on screen. So you see my mouse move across. So I'm not actually gonna, but you know, you can see me going over Slick's eject button. Not that I'm going to eject you, Slick, but just so you know, if I eject somebody, the audience definitely knows about it.
Okay. Well, I think Flat Earth just said he did it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, after he dropped, I took him out of the back chat just in case.
Oh, I see. So
But
you just
maybe
stopped
he
him
just
from
had
sniping
connection
us.
problems. So
Either way, I'm sure he's got plenty of sock accounts.
Sounds like he's got lots of problems.
Well,
he
he just
was
wants
literally melting.
He wants a
melting
single
like a wicked
equivalent.
witch.
That's all he wants, a single equivalent to what they blame. They blame R. They want us to have a single thing that they could say, it's not F. Well, there isn't one. There isn't a single thing that we blame as a begging the question fallacy, like you do. So Globeheads just blame R. No, we actually have gone out and had a look. So when Ranty looks at the horizon and goes, here, look at this mirage, you guys go, ha ha, Earth curve. Oh, right. Really? No. Well, that's all you'll ever blame. One-trick ponies with geometric calculation. Sad.
So, guys, I kind of wanted to...
Shout out to FE Diplomat for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. So what I wanted to talk about, I only got 15 minutes. I just wanted to talk about the whole, the needing a container, and how exactly, or what exactly it is out there, I guess. And I just wanted to kind of clarify and understand what you guys believe, and then kind of like say what I think is what's happening, and see if we agree.
Who cares? Does it matter what I believe the sky is? Does that matter? What I think the sky is? Is that relevant to anybody?
It doesn't matter. So,
no, it doesn't matter.
The facts,
what you believe the sky is? Are you a globehead, Ken?
No, I'm a flat earther. Flat earther. Have been for about 3 years. One of my best friends, I was a Navy guy, so my best friend says, let me tell you about flat earth. I'm like, dude, I sailed around it, and he's like, well, try to prove me wrong. And at that time, I saw the 200 proofs and then some Eric DeBay stuff. And then I've just kind of, I have no doubt it's flat at this point, but it's been kind of a fun adventure. But I work a lot with vacuums. I do heating and air conditioning, and I use vacuum pumps to pump vacuums on cooling systems and stuff. And from what I see, like, I see people starting to get caught up on units of measurement. For instance, like, we can all agree that a perfect vacuum is a theoretical. It can't be obtained. Everybody agrees on that, I think. So if you go down to sea level and you take barometric pressure, you get 29.92. Or if you're measuring it in PSI, you get 14.7. And if you go up the barometric pressure, if it ever gets to zero, or if the 14.7 PSI of atmosphere ever gets to zero, that is a perfect vacuum and is impossible. So technically, everything we see is going to be in our atmospheric pressure, because we can never obtain a perfect vacuum. Am I right on that?
Yeah, you are.
And the container would have to be past everything we see.
Yeah. Arwen said this the other day while Wiggles was trying to pin me to claiming there's a dome when I have no idea what is containing the pressure. I just know that pressure needs a container. Doesn't mean I know what the sky is.
I just wanted to verify that's what I see, is that some people are trying to say that vacuum sucks, and I'm like, no, vacuum can't act upon pressure. Like, pressure always acts upon vacuum, and all it really is the lack of atmosphere. It's not a negative. If it was a negative, we'd be in a perfect vacuum.
Right on. Hey, physics.
So that's all
Hey,
I wanted
Nathan.
to know, and see what you
Hello.
guys thought about that, and if you agreed with me.
So far, so good. It's only at the point that I get frustrated where people speculate. The sky is ether, the sky is a dome, the sky is a plasma layer. It's like, how the hell do you know? You have no idea. Just accept that you don't know. I can disprove that it's a vacuum.
I also think that the pressures up there, there's no way we can operate in them. If you don't have any atmosphere, there's no way to act against anything to get any movement. I don't even know how energy would transfer from the sun to here if there's nothing in between us. None of it makes any sense to me.
I agree. And you can still say exactly that and point out the flaws in the current narrative without having to make a single assertion. I know, don't get me wrong, Arwen, I'm picking on you a little bit here, but, Arwen likes to make assertions and speculate. The difference being to most globeheads is he will put that disclaimer in at the beginning. This is my speculation. This is what I think it might be. Well, yeah, I can get frustrated with it, but he's entitled to his opinion, right? He doesn't have to adhere to anything in terms of what his opinion about what the world is. That's entirely his bag.
We're hearing a lot of background noise. Are you in a car or something?
Yeah, hold on. I'll mute myself. Hold on.
Oh, it's Ken.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I just don't like people speculating when the speculation is wild. You know, at the very least, disclaim that it's speculation if it is speculation.
What I've been experiencing from Globe people is that when you make a statement, and I'll use you for an example, Nathan, like when you make a statement that we have gas pressure, well, what they have to do is rearrange what you said so that they can argue with the rearrangement. So they accuse you of claiming a dome so that they can argue against the dome when you never said that in the first place. So that's what they do. They take what you said, rearrange it their way, and then they argue with that.
Yeah, it's called
what other choice do they have, man? They don't have any other choice. This argument is devastating for them. And it's becoming problematic. So they have no choice but to attack it in any way they can. So to say, oh, keep saying people, it's a dome, it's a dome. Well, nobody's saying it's a dome. They're just saying there needs to be a barrier. That's it.
Right. So like I said, what they do is they have to rearrange what you said. And one of the other problems that I noticed that Globe people have is that whenever there's a conversation, well, they've already declared themselves the winner before the conversation started because they claim logic and reason and all of that for their side. So if you have something that's different, then you have to be illogical. See what I'm saying? So they already have declared themselves the winner. And when you come back with a devastating argument, they can't handle that, because they've already declared themselves the winner. How could you possibly win when they've already declared themselves?
Yeah, you know why that is, though? Because in their minds, the sphere Earth is a done deal. It's accepted. It is what it is. And that's what they genuinely believe. So if you start from the position that, well, obviously it's a globe, you end up like Gary Awesome. Do you remember that, Ranty?
Yeah.
Well, if you start from the position that we already know it's a globe, thicko, well, then you would very quickly find your ass handed back to you on a plate by someone like me, or someone like Ranty, or someone like anybody on the panel for that matter. Yeah, just the automatic assumption that it is a globe because we've been told so. So, well, why would you even question this? We know it's a globe already. So I'm going to start my assertion knowing I'm right. Well, no, you're not, Johnny Globehead. You've just been lied to, and you've accepted it, and you're too stupid to realise it. Tough luck. How many people we got watching?
And are you trust?
Got nearly 280 people watching this, you know. No pressure.
Going to 80 people watching the globe get destroyed.
Noticed you were in Owen Benjamin's chat yesterday, Arwin.
Yeah. Yeah, I get greeted a lot by people when I speak up in there. It's hilarious.
He did a really good little piece a couple of days ago on psychopaths, and I don't know if anyone's been watching me for a while, they know that's a subject that I've covered in the past, and I enjoy that subject. And he just did it better. I hate Owen Benjamin sometimes because he's ace, right? But he basically took a section of Seinfeld that somebody had taken the laugh track off and showed them for what they were, pure psychopathy. And it was just, I've never watched Seinfeld. You know, throughout my life, I've gone on again, off again with TV. So, you know, when Seinfeld was around, I didn't have a TV. I think I was in college with no TV. So I never watched it. Not that it would probably have appealed to me anyway, but the fact that he was there without the laugh track, and it was me watching some of these scenes for the very first time, and the psychopathy is just so prevalent. It's just like, wow, did people actually not pick up on this when it was going out with a laugh track? And that was kind of his point. You know, but obviously it's hard for me to relate, having not watched it initially with a laugh track. But yeah, really eye-opening to know how they're programming us. And he kind of detailed it. Obviously, this is his bag because it's comedy. But he's talking about how, you know, when they originally introduced the canned laughter, it was good jokes, it was good gags. And slowly over time, the gags have been removed, the narrative's been put in place, and the gag track is all there. Canned laughter is the only thing that's remained. So you end up convincing yourself that you should be laughing to something that's just depraved.
Yeah, I think sometimes Owen does make some good points. I really like his views on free speech. Speech is never hurting anybody. know, uh, it really sucks that people are trying to limit speech.
Yeah,
I love
and
that he
based on
seems. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. No, I was just going to say that, right, that statement is correct because information is just information. The problem comes in when people start trying to tell you what you have to do with that information. And that's the thing about belief. Like people will accuse me of just taking information for what it is without putting some type of thing on it. So if I can't verify something, it's just information, and information doesn't harm anybody.
Right, which is why I don't understand why they're censoring so many things on YouTube and all over the internet. I mean, it's just information. If I want to believe that the Earth is flat, why is that hurting anybody? I'm not forcing anybody else to believe it. You know. It's a strange world we live in.
I'm going to read out Burnt Toast's comment. Nathan Oakley, we need to come up with a map instead of debating the same things day in, day out. Come on, dude, please. Sorry, why do we need a map exactly?
You said we need a what?
We need a map. Well, and the
Apparently.
funny thing too is they want to pick apart a flat model, but if you look at any globe in a classroom, the distances and sizes of the oceans and continents aren't exactly. So like, I don't know, it's just ridiculous how they want to pick apart our model, but their models don't work either.
Right, you've seen the West Wing piece where they're explaining to a couple of, I think they're lawyers, about the Gall-Peters and the Mercator projections of the Earth in terms of their landmass distortion. Well, we've got thousands of maps. Thousands! And this was the first thing I covered with Martin Leitker. So check out Flat Earth British, Martin Leitker channel. Very, very good channel. Yeah, covering mud floods and Antiquitech and all that sort of stuff at the moment. Grown massively as a result. So big shout out to Martin Leitker, Flat Earth British. But he and I covered exactly that. So he, before Flat Earth, was like, his nickname was Mappy Martin. He was obsessed with maps. So that's what we did. He and I covered that subject to a massive extent, looking at all the different maps, looking at all the different models, seeing which ones worked, seeing which ones didn't work. The bottom line is, none of them work. Not one.
Absolutely.
So if you want to show me a working globe model, you knock yourselves out, and then we'll have a little compare when you can show me one that's a working globe version. And every time somebody says, well, we've got a model, last person to do it was Brenda, well, let's have a look at it then. Go on then, let's see it. Oh, well, you've just got to picture a sphere in your mind. That's your model, picturing a sphere in your mind. Or they'll present you some mathematics. Here's our model for whatever specific detail you need.
Hey, Nathan, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Birmingham.
Okay, so you're over in Europe?
Yeah, England.
Okay, cool.
I thought you meant like whereabouts in England. We had another guy, a fellow Birmingham resident called Tommy on, and whenever I get into a discussion with a fellow Brummie, it just brings out the Birmingham in me. So it ends up in swearing and shouting, and it just brings it out in me. I can't help it.
Are you a soccer fan?
Not at all. No, not a sports fan. Sorry. Why'd you ask? Something relevant. Tag it on anyway.
No, I was just wondering. Just curious. I've been listening to you for a while, and I never really picked up on where you're from.
Yeah, right in the middle of England, Warwickshire.
Just FYI, they call it football over there.
Right.
Yeah, a bit confusing with you guys in America. You've got your own version of football where you use hands, because that makes perfect sense.
Well, you guys calling it football makes more sense because that's actually operated with the foot. Like us calling it football here just doesn't make any sense to me because we run with it in our hands. So yeah.
Yeah, we have that too. We call it rugby, but we don't have all the homosexual attire that you guys wear. We do it like men.
If you want a real sport, Aussie rules AFL football. No armour, full body contact. That's the best game.
Really weird over here. The rugby is played by the posh people, like the uber posh people. So they're all getting cauliflower ear and, you know, smashing each other with their studs. And then they go out and they talk really posh. Whereas the football, where they're paid millions, is the other way around. They're not at all posh in soccer, as you call it here in England. You know, they're your average Joes who are paid millions.
So what's the next topic?
Burnt Toast is putting some good comments up. We all know it's flat, so why are you still debating it? Well, because half the population, not even half the population, 99% of the population believe they are on a sphere. And on some rare occasions when we get into conversations like these, Burnt Toast, we'll get somebody of that belief come in and say, "Go, I think you guys need an explanation for your crazy belief that that it's not necessarily possible to have gas pressure next to a vacuum. So let me just explain that to you with my religious assertions." That's why we have the debate. We know it's over. We know there's no scientific evidence for gravity. We know there's no distance to the sun. We know that it's flat. But as for sort of
And it's fun.
Well, it is
it's
fun.
a lot of fun doing the debate too, you know?
Absolutely, it's good fun. Occasionally it gets frustrating when you're dealing with zealots, but you know, for me, the bit that is beneficial is the bit that Ranty's doing. You know, saying, okay, so we've been told that when stuff disappears at the horizon, hey, Rebel Bob, how you doing?
Doing fine, thanks.
Good to have you. You a globehead or flat earther?
I'm a flat earther to heart, man.
Fair enough. That's good and bad. We've got a full panel now. But yeah, Ranty's doing the bit where what has been formerly called simple geometry, Ranty's going to have a look. He knows it's not geometry. He knows it's not side elevation that he's looking at. He knows he's looking out across water with perspective and wants to know what's going on. Well, so do I. Does it mean that we have to care when they go, "Ha ha, Ranty's proved the globe again"? No, no. All you've done is taken his observation of reality and compared it to geometric side elevation calculations. Proves nothing. But does that mean that Ranty should stop? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'd like to misrepresent a lot, really. That's all they do, Dave. It's a hard pill to swallow for them when you're taking their proofies, their visual proofs, and you're ripping it a new one and saying, actually, it's not a visible proof of a globe. Actually, it's falls into perspective. And they absolutely hate that.
Yeah. Tim Osmond tried it, and then Soundly's Heroes, or whatever he was called, they go, well, here's all the list of things that you blame things disappearing into the distance on. Atmospheric conditions, perspective, the Rayleigh criterion. It's like, yeah. What's your point? All of these things can cause things to disappear. Yeah, they can. Demonstrably so. But are any of them included in the calculator? No. It's just simple geometry. We just stick it inside elevation, claim you can see forever on a flat plane, and then when you can't, we put a curve between you and the thing you can't see anymore. Forget the fact that it's too small to see. We've got it in side view and we just put a geometric curve between you and it. That's why you can't see it. It's simple geometry. Go in peace and you trust.
Do you think Rory's going to pay up?
Absolutely not.
£5,000? No, I don't.
I'll have a £5 bet with you that Rory is a lying, cheating scumbag and will pay not one dime to Zachary Zabala.
Oh, what about me?
You didn't get in there first. I said this on the pre-show.
Yeah, but mine's more concise.
If anyone's getting £5,000, it's Zach. Sorry, Ranty.
No.
No. I want that £5,000 that's never going to get to anybody's pocket ever. Okay.
I want to see, it's very, once this video's finished, and it should be up today actually, it's going to be very, there's no wiggle room for him to lie about it. I mean, it's completely obvious that what he's asked can be proved, that the curve calculator doesn't include perspective. And if that's the case, he's made a big song and dance about paying £5,000 for anybody that can prove that the curve calculators don't include perspective. Well, I'm going to prove that today with a video. And I haven't seen Zach's video, so I'm not too sure about exactly what he's done. But I just know 100% that the video I put out later will, without a shadow of a doubt, prove that it doesn't include perspective.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 live stream, then a massive, huge, enormous thank you for tuning in, smashing the super chat, sharing, and all that good stuff. If you need something to keep you occupied after this live stream is over, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Massive thank you also to all of today's live panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Feet are in the water, I can get my P900 and I can actually like zoom in to the island, and I can see right down, right pretty much at beach level on the island. So I'll have to get that one to you guys. It's pretty cool. It's really that I worked it out. There should be at least 30 kilometers. That's like 20 meters of curvature or something, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. That's really cool that you've actually just pointed that out, because I've just checked it on Google Earth. And what I'm actually noticing on Google Earth is that in the oceans, when you look at them, you have different colors of blue. So you have light blue, then you have a bit darker blue, and then obviously it goes to black in certain areas, and really, really, really dark blue. So I'm assuming that that's the depth of the water. So in the shallows, I would assume that anything's probably within 20 or 30 meters deep, you've got this very light blue water color. And it just seems that everywhere that this light blue shows up on Google Earth is where you get great observations of very, very flat, so you can see across 20 miles, you can see across 25 miles. If you're looking across the very light blue areas, it's when you're looking across the areas that have got the darker colors in the water, so the deeper area, that's when you tend to not see it quite as far. So very interesting that you just pointed that out, because it's the same in my location. We've got this light blue around the Google Earth.
Yeah, well, if you're actually on maps now, like where I did it, it's a spot just up from a place called Scarborough. So it's Cottesloe shows up on the map. Go up a little bit, you got Scarborough, and then you've got Trigg. The Trigg, that's where I was actually standing, and you can actually just face straight out to Rottnest Island, and you can see the whole thing, top to bottom.
So
yeah, pretty insane.
What distance are we looking at here?
Let me get on.
Because I'm looking at Rottnest Island, and if I can see Lake Claremont, City Beach. Oh, yep. Scarborough.
Scarborough.
Yeah.
Yep. So just up from between Scarborough and North Beach, you got Trigg.
So do you happen to know the height of the? Hang on, let's have a look at this. Let's have just a quick scan over it. So
it's 23.46 kilometers.
Yeah, I'm looking for the elevation of the actual. I can see at most it's about 100 feet, isn't it, in height on this island?
On the island, yeah, I think it works out from the highest point is I think 30 meters.
Yeah, I'd say 34, something like that. So maybe 100 feet.
Yeah. So at least half the island I shouldn't see. I should only be able to see the top of the island, and there's a lighthouse on there. I should be able to see that, but I can see right down.
Where
to the bottom.
I would suggest going to somewhere like Burns Beach, which is like
that's actually where I live up there.
it's 22 miles away, and at that distance you shouldn't see any of the island. So that would be more conclusive, I think, than saying, oh, I can see half the island, because as long as you can see some of it, you're going to be like, yeah, well, you can't claim that you're only seeing half of it.
Well, at 23 kilometers from Trigg to Rottnest, what would the curve be there? Because I'm seeing the whole island there.
From where? So right, hang on, let me put the curve cards in one sec. So give me your elevation above. What was your camera height set to above water?
So it was, I had it probably set my height, so 101.7.
1.7 meters. Oh,
Yeah.
so
my feet were in the water and I was holding it.
okay, right. So I'm going to say about 5 feet. And what was the distance? Did you say
23.5 kilometers.
Oh, kilometers.
So,
right.
So 14.6 miles.
14.6, right? 14.6. Okay, so including refraction, so you're assuming you've got 77 feet of missing, so you should still see some of it. If you went a little,
nearly all of it.
Supposing you went to 17 miles away. So if you went to 17 miles away with refraction, you've got 112 feet hidden. So that more than accounts for all the islands. So if you can find a spot that's, hang on, let me have a look on Google Earth. Try and find a place that would be 17 miles away from its nearest point.
I know where I could go. There's a little. What would be the ideal distance?
That's 17 miles. So you would be.
Here we go. There's a key there called that I go to all the time.
Yeah, it juts out. There's
Hillary's Yacht Club. If you can find that just north of there.
I can see that, yeah. That's about 16 miles away. 16.4. If you go a little bit further up, you've got a notch at the corner, and that's 17.1 miles away. John Wilkie Turn.
Hillary Point?
Yeah, John Wilkie Turn it's called. There's a street there.
Yep.
If you went to that location and you filmed from there, that's 17.1 miles away. So none of the island should be seen from there. And of course,
I reckon I'll see a majority of it, man. From there, I'll go and do it. I'll do it tomorrow for you.
Excellent. Well, don't forget. I mean, that's 17.1 miles to the nearest spot on the island. You've obviously got, because it's a fair sized island. You're talking what, 3.5 miles in length, more than that actually. 5.5 miles long. So there's a lot of terrain there that you could see. You'd probably see stuff at 19, 20 miles away.
Having said that, it's a relatively flat island. There's not really any mountains or hills on there. I mean, there are little ones, but nothing major. The high point is where they've got the lighthouse. So a Bathurst lighthouse there.
I'd be in Bathurst Lighthouse. That rings a bell. Some people have. Wolfie has done a lot of photography from this.
He's from Perth. Yeah, I've heard of him doing some stuff there.
So he's filmed this island lots of times, and he showed obstruction. So if you go and you were actually to show no obstruction or very little obstruction, then you can use that as a proper counter against Wolfie's claims. Because if from what Wolfie's doing, he's being very selective, I think. And if you can
I remember hearing, he was doing it inland. I could have heard it incorrectly, but yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to do that to today, did you say?
Well, it's nighttime here. It's 10 p.m., so I'll have to do it on my way home from work tomorrow. So
okay. Well, as I say, don't be disappointed if you go when you get a bit of crappy weather, because more often than not, we go to do these observations in water, and we've got stuff that's happening. You've got inferior mirage, you've just got blockage. You just can't see very far. So if you do happen to go,
we've had beautiful weather all month, and it started raining yesterday. So hopefully it's all good tomorrow. But yeah, I'll give it a go anyway. I'll be able to see something.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, if you see anything from that spot, it's a win, essentially. Definitely a win. And the good thing is, you can go up that coast. You can drive up that coast, and you can go further away to the point where you actually do not see it, because there will come a point that you don't see it due to perspective, obviously. But at what point does that happen? And it's a really good location to do these kind of systematic tests, where you can just drive up the coast, going 23 miles.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
That coast road goes right along, and you can stop. But there's car parks the whole way along. You can just stop and go, take another photo, keep going until you actually like lose sight of it. So it's an ideal spot.
It looks it. It looks it.
Cool. All right, I have a mission.
First
It is
mission, first plan.
a lot of it's based on luck, though. I mean, I don't know if you watch Red Pill Philosophy, because about 3 months ago he was out with his P1000 like all the time, and yeah, it got lots of interesting effects like Ranty did. But on one occasion, he just had luck. The weather was perfect. The temperature of the air and the temperature of the water was identical, and he could see crystal clear distances. And we're like, wow, you can see forever. This kind of craps on Rayleigh criterion, until Life is Short actually analysed the footage and went, no, it's still losing the expected amount, but only the amount based on the diffraction limit and nothing else. In other words, the clarity of the day is perfect. So unless you get that, then, it's luck of the draw. And I'm sure Ranty will back me up on this. You can go with the best of intentions, and it seems like it's perfect weather, clear blue skies, and you get there and you can't see, more than 20 miles.
Yes, that's true. It's, I mean, well, not even that. I mean, for the most part of this year, and this is no word of a lie, I've been no more than, 15 miles away from the buildings of Barrow, from an elevation of 50 or 60 feet above sea level. I couldn't see anything. It was a complete whiteout. Everything was just whited out. It was just ridiculous. I just don't know what's been going on, but there's just been no visibility at all to see anything. Not even the wind turbines. There's literally been just a blockage. Very strange, very unusual for sure. But it happens. It's like a mist that happens, and you just can't see through it. You just can't. The way it is. It's very few and far between that you can go and just hit it straight away.
Yeah,
It's dedication. It's dedication.
Exactly. It's the dedication of doing it. Yeah, there's a small chance that you might go out on your first attempt and just struck gold with your first time you press the camera shutter, but it's unlikely, right? You just got to have a bit of grit to go out there more than once. And also know what, from past experience, in terms of the moon, this is going to sound very hippie, but it's just true. In terms of what happens with the weather at certain points based on the moon, Ranty has had more success using that than just trusting the weather, going out randomly. What were you doing before that, right?
Well, the thing is, I mean, obviously, you're still going to get effects above the water, so it doesn't affect what goes on just above the water. Sometimes you're going to get more evaporation over the water, so there's more water in the air, so it's more chance of an inferior mirage. But just a couple of days after the full moon, the clarity of the air itself. So if you're looking up at something in the distance, say a mountain in the distance, so you're not even talking about looking over the water, but you're looking at a mountain in the distance, you can see all the colors look much brighter. You can see very clear. Everything's very crisp, clear. For whatever reason, something happens just after the full moon, or the full moon causes something to happen. I can't say for sure, but it just seems that that's the case. And then a couple of days after the full moon, it's just beautiful. Everything's crisp and colourful. And then leading up to the full moon, so just a few days before the full moon, everything's dull, everything's dank, dark. The colours aren't very bright. So if you're going to be doing observations and you get really good humidity levels when you go down to the water, and it's just a couple of days after the full moon, bingo, that's when you're going to be just seeing forever. You're going to see really good stuff.
Shout out to Stephen Chess for his weather watching.
I thought when you first put me in touch with Stephen, I was like, and I hadn't really thought about it. It's true. He's been studying this, hasn't he, for years, and he's pretty accurate he can predict stuff just on where the moon phases are and stuff. Very, very weird. And also you'll find yourself just after the full moon and just before the full moon, the weather's normally pretty calm. You don't get very much wind. You know, it's everything seems to settle down, and it's when the moon and the sun are, you know, in that phase where it's half and half. It's like it's really windy. The way it happens.
Yeah, it's because we're on a 30/31 day monthly cycle instead of a 28-day cycle. We should all be paying close attention to what the moon's doing, but we're not. Financially, they do. You know, that's why you get paid on a lunar cycle. That's why the financial year runs on a lunar cycle. People who run the money know how important it is. We don't. We're just told, 12 months, 31, 30 days. That's it. That's your year. Yeah, New Year is in the middle of winter. Just accept it. Go on. Off you go. Yeah, when the actual new life comes and the new flowers and the newborn lambs, that's not New Year. Just ignore that. That's just when the financial New Year. Nothing to do with you normos. Just ignore that.
What I'm finding interesting after our conversation just then is I've gone onto maps and I'm actually going onto Street View right along the coast, trying to see if I can actually see the island, and it actually looks like Google purposely like clear out the horizon, but leaving the boats in the ports to come into Fremantle Port. I wonder if that's true. Yeah, just a thought.
What do you mean clear it out? Make sure there's nothing on the horizon like a boat?
Well, no, did you hear the conversation I was having before about going out to do a test on Rottnest Island?
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. But the coast road there, I was just on Google Maps going onto Street View, and you know when you drive along there, you can see the island, but going on Street View and actually looking out, you can't see it. So I'm wondering if Google Maps is intentionally deleting this out.
We've seen them make changes to Google Earth while we've been using it, based on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we were covering the Isle of Man, right, Ranty?
I remember that. I didn't see what the follow up on any of that. I just heard the arguments, but yeah, what happened?
Well, basically, from the beach at St Bees in Google, you couldn't see the Isle of Man, and then we pointed that out, and then you could.
Really?
Yeah, they made a change to it within 24 hours of us highlighting this, and it's like, well, how obscure is this? View from the St Bees beach to the Isle of Man. Why would anybody be altering that at that particular moment in Google? Yeah, just a coincidence, same as M. Scott Veach removing certain data, or alleged to removing certain data after being challenged to do so by Anthony. Just a coincidence. I can't say, oh, Google live edited their software based on what we did. However, that's what it seemed like, let's be honest.
That's interesting. Actually, on Google Maps here, it looks like they've put like a sun flare where the island should be, like just a big lump of light. It's crazy. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
If you go up north of Russia, there's a little island, and if you head straight north of Russia towards the North Pole, or they've blocked it all out with a blue color of water, but they've left two slivers, and you can see they're obviously hiding some kind of a landmass or something up there.
I've seen that.
Google Maps is so I don't know, man. It's hard to trust any of it.
I realized the maps is hard to trust, but I didn't realize they went so far as on Street View to actually block out things on the horizon. That's like another level.
I mean, this is their key deception tool, you got to remember. So it does make sense that they're going to be fiddling with it.
True.
Did your baby come yet, Nathan?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm there.
All right. Baby boy?
Girl. Clover.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Very pleased. She's not a crier.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know why you're wasting your time, Ranty, with Rory. He's never going to give you a dime.
I know. I'm not too fussed about that. I just want to expose him for bullshit, basically, so that he doesn't do it again. Because I know that he will, you know, if he's allowed to get away with it this time, he'll put another £5,000 challenge out in the future, you know?
Right. Probably hasn't got £5,000, has no intention of paying anybody a dime, and genuinely believes that the curve calculators include perspective. Well, that just tells me he's thick. If you're watching this, Rory, you're dumb. You know, to put out a £5,000 challenge for somebody to demonstrate there's not perspective in a geometric calculation. What a fucking idiot.
Should have kept up to date flat earth debate.
Yeah, try to pay more attention, Rory. Maybe if you'd watched the show prior to you coming to this subject, 3 months ago or something stupid, you might actually understand that there's no perspective in a geometric calculator. The clue's in the title. It's geometric.
Just geometry.
Right. So when he's got Rumpus admitting it on Arwin's show, or Jose's show, I should say.
Yeah, I mirrored it.
Rumpus, Bob the Science Guy or Bob the Fallacy Guy, Wiggles, Kosho, and the very name of the calculator, Geometric. Yeah, you've lost your £5,000, Rory. So either forever be deemed a liar or fork over £5,000 to Zach, because he's
to me.
Would you concede to split it?
Yes, that's fine.
I think that's fine. You split that imaginary £5,000 that Rory's never going to hand over. But what a crushing defeat. What a stupid thing to put up as a challenge when literally there's now been 5 people from his own side that concede he's lost. We don't need perspective. It doesn't require it. Well, do you still think there's perspective in there, Rory? You fucking idiot. You still think there's perspective there when literally Rumpus is saying it doesn't need perspective and Wiggles is saying I can make this calculator from scratch, exactly the same as all the others. I don't need perspective, it's not needed to be calculated. You've got Bob the Science Guy making it quite clear. No Aries diffraction, no diffraction limit included in the calculator. These people are all on your side, Rory. How embarrassing.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for him at all.
Didn't give it much thought, did he? You know, that's the kind of level of stupidity we expect from these sorts of people. Not giving it much thought, putting out a challenge for £5,000, which he's lost. What are you going to do? Just keep defending the fact that you're not going to pay a dime for your loss? Pathetic weasel.
Probably doesn't even have £5,000.
I don't doubt it. Just words and bullshit, same as all Globers. In the face of 5 people on his own side, proving him wrong, he won't admit it.
Why are we even entertaining that?
Why are we what?
I mean, we can see, we have proof that we can see distances, long distances, see targets, objects for miles, hundreds of miles away. So why are we even entertaining that? Seems like they just do
I still don't understand your question.
Put these things out there in the atmosphere just to keep us distracted on rubbish. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Nathan, can I do a quick screen share?
Yeah. Go ahead.
How do I do it? Just click this screen share button here.
Yeah, and then on underneath there's 2 tabs. One that says your whole entire screen. The other says application window. Click application window and just pick the thing you actually want to share.
Okay. I'll just share the entire screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
No.
Yeah, you need to click on him locally if you're in the Hangout.
Okay, so you know how I was saying that it looked like
page.
Rottnest Island had been blocked out on Street View?
Just got your Hangout page.
Okay, there. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see my mouse?
Yep.
See that bit there coming down on an angle and then over here? This whole section here has been cut out. that's where Rottennest is.
You can see a little dip when you zoom back in. You can see there's a little clip. There's a little chunk taken out of the. There you go.
They've chopped it out. Look.
Wow. Literally
They've
removed
chopped
a
that bit
section
out.
of horizon.
Yeah. I wonder if that boat's from another area around here and they've just cut and pasted it over. That whole section. Because if you zoom out, if I zoom out, see? There's the island there. Straight ahead.
Mad, isn't it? They just remove reality from their software.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a perfect example of what we were saying before. Okay, I'll turn that off now. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go out and show you guys. Yeah, it's obviously being changed.
Doesn't that anger you?
Yeah, because I see it every day.
They're literally messing with your reality.
Yeah. It's just crazy. I've never noticed that before.
Yeah,
Really
definitely
pissed
worth
off,
doing some
actually.
observations of it and showing how wrong Google is.
Anyway, guys, I've got to head off. But yeah, I'll try and get that observation tomorrow, and I'll come on and show you guys.
Oh, should be a good day tomorrow. Got Paul with his holiday snaps and you with that. Excellent. Thanks, my walk mind. See you tomorrow.
No worries, guys. Take care.
Have a good night.
Good one, man. Right, brother.
There's only going to be one live show today, so this after show I'll extend a little bit longer just because it's a lot less stressful. But yeah, only one live show today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I typically only do one on a Monday usually anyway because I've got Spanish class. I haven't. There's
Right.
no classes. It's half term or Easter. Well, I don't even know what term it is. But anyway, there's no classes, and yeah, I just want to help my wife out this afternoon as she's now awake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we understand, man. You got a baby. It's all good.
It was alright while my wife was asleep. Typically when she's at work, it's actually quite calm here. You know, it's calm enough just about. Eleanor can be a bit noisy, but it's just about calm enough to do the show. And it was no different with the new baby here. She was literally right next to me. She didn't make a sound. Eleanor made more noise than she did.
Does she get time off work now? A couple of months off?
Yeah, well, she gets a fixed. I think you get 3 months maternity leave. She's taken 6, so she's just gonna have to do it unpaid. One, without sounding mercenary, one of the reasons I'm determined to do a show every day. As mercenary as that sounds, I do actually need money, so I will do it for that reason, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
I got to get to work, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Really nice
talk
meeting you,
to you
Ken.
later.
Thank you for joining.
Later, man. Have a good one, brother.
It's going to be one of those nice after shows where we actually get to say bye, get proper goodbye to all the guests rather than me just thanking the panel to the audience. Thank you so much. Lovely to have you. Like the end of a party. Need any help clearing up the bottles? No, don't worry about it. It's okay. Yeah, that was some good advice you gave there, Ranty.
What's that?
To my walk mind just a moment ago.
Sorry?
You don't even know you're doing it. You're giving good advice. You're a dab hand at this now, and you don't realise that you've gone from being the upstart, the apprentice, to the guru.
Oh, right, okay. How did I manage that?
By doing it. Just by doing it. That's what makes you good, doing stuff repeatedly till you're really good at it. Then you become the guru instead of the upstart, and that's the position you're in now.
Okay, so what advice did I give?
Well, you're just telling him to actually get out there and do it, right? He's got his P900, he's got some anomaly on Google. Just get out there and do it, right?
Oh, yeah. And I also told him to go to a distance that would basically, kill the globe, essentially, that he shouldn't see the thing at all. Because what he wanted to do, he wanted to go to a distance that he could see half of the island. Well, in my experience, seeing half of the island is is basically, even if you saw half of the island or 3/4 of the island or all of the island, the globers would only claim it's half of the island, right? So if you went to a location where you shouldn't see any of the island and you see the island, then that's a real big issue for the globers then. So I just said to him, look, don't go to 14 miles away, go to 17 miles away. And from 17, if you see it, there can be no arguments then.
Yeah, like you've done with Barrow. I mean, Barrow's the perfect distance, basically, because it's close enough to get good clarity on the things you actually got eyeballs on. But at the same token, it's too far to see geometrically side elevation when excluding perspective and reifying a model with an R value. So when they claim what we should or shouldn't see, as I say, geometrically, that's where you're going. So there's no argument in terms of if somebody just does ignore the fact that you don't have perspective in their calculations and the great big list that Soundly's Heroes listed off is excluded also, then you're just into the dogged determination of someone with a calculation. And if you're in a position where you've got your lens on something that simply shouldn't be there, geometrically or otherwise, what are they going to say?
Yeah, I also think that, and this is something that's just come about recently through working out with this angular size and such, is that when you're trying to look at objects or distant buildings or land masses that are about 30 miles away, there is definitely going to be a amount of that particular land that is going to fall into the 0.02 degree of unresolvable imagery, which means that it doesn't matter if we should see it or we can see it or we've got clear line of sight to it, we still can't see it because it's in that very critical angle. So I think at 17 to 20 miles away is just perfect because, most of the stuff that we're looking at isn't going to fall into that very, very, very small angle. You might lose 5 or 10 feet, but when you're talking at things at 30 miles away, you could be talking, you're losing things of maybe 40, 50, 60 feet in actual height, just because the camera and the optics, you cannot resolve that particular amount at such a critical angle. And that's where the globers try to hijack things. Anything at 30 miles away, 40 miles away, you really are looking into those areas where perspective really does take effect. So like I say with Barrow,
I was going to say, then you're on the limits of the camera, though. So at 18 to 20 miles, like with Barrow, that's perfect, I think.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you are getting to the limit where, things are starting to genuinely disappear because the bottom of the island, boat, whatever you're looking at that distance, 30 miles plus, is reaching the diffraction limit of the camera anyway.
Yes. Yeah, and like I say, because you're losing such a small amount over such a short distance. Well, I say short distance, 20 miles, but it's also enough to disprove the curve calculator because at those distances, you're talking 150 feet or so should be missing.
Right.
So you've got missing at 150 feet, but you've got all that landmass that you're seeing, and you're seeing down to the shore, right? I imagine, and the funny thing is, once I go to another 4 or 5 miles further down the coast, so if I go to, say, South Pier or the Mirrorball, and I go down onto the beach and I try to see Barrow in Furness from that distance, that extra 4 or 5 miles really makes a massive difference. Everything gets really, really compressed, and you can see stuff, you can make things out, but it doesn't look anything like it does when you're 17 or 18 miles away. And it's just that small movement of just a few miles makes such a big difference.
Can you bring up your CAD program, Ranty? Is that a possibility?
CAD? What do you mean CAD?
Just a line drawing. I just need a simple line drawing of something. It'll take 30 seconds to draw
Hey
out.
guys, don't want to interrupt, but I got a meeting at work, so I'm going to drop a little early.
Thanks, Chocolate.
Catch you guys later.
See you later.
No problem. Congratulations again, Nathan.
Thank you very
Happy
much.
for you, brother. Yeah, man. Take care, everybody. Slick, Alvin.
Take it easy, Chuck.
Flatner. Later, everybody.
Hang on.
Later, buddy.
I've got the wheel of death at the minute. I've just clicked share and I've got a wheel of death. So give it a second. It's not responding. So just let it come through.
I thought that happened during the show. The Stream Deck crashed, and that's normally a sign that the entire PC will then follow. And I was like, oh shit.
I hope not. I'm working on this. Hang on, let me save the project. I've been working on this project all day.
You should get a whirly whirl of death. You got like a 6-core processor.
I know.
12
But I've
threads
got
of
like,
processing power. Should never have the whirly whirl of death.
well, let me see. I've got about 35 tabs open. I've got Google Earth open, Skype. I've got Video Pad Professional open. I've got
that's
Paint
the
open,
problem.
Notepad.
It's the editing software. That's what's doing it.
Right, okay, so that's
Giving up your RAM.
I'm probably going to end up not sharing this.
Don't worry.
screen.
If you've got a project on the go, don't worry about it, Ranty. I'd rather not risk your project.
Okay.
But yeah, all I was going to do was get you to draw a man, a stick man, say an inch high, in the middle of the page, and a stick man at the right-hand side of the page. Yep, and then a stick man on the left-hand side of the page. And you draw a line to his head, and you draw a line to his feet. So from the left-hand side guy to the right-hand side guy, you've already done this once before in the exact same demo. You've done this for me before. In fact, why don't I just bring that up?
Yeah, that would be
that'll make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? I'm not time pushed or anything. So.
Right, I'm going to try and cancel this off, and if I drop, I'll join straight back on the call. One sec.
Okay. Let's see if I can find this. How are we going? My channel.
Oh, is anyone still here?
Yeah, we're all still here. We're all still here. I'm just looking for a particular video. So Ranty did a drawing for me. Yeah, I got it. Brilliant.
Oh, we got a Ranty. What is this?
That's me. I'm back. Yeah, because I had like 40 tabs open. I don't think it was helping too much.
Right, here we go.
Oh, there's definitely something going on here.
Oh, it's a rubbish one. See if I've got a still of it any good. No, it's not. It's not exactly what I want. Oh well, I won't bother presenting that. How are you getting on, Ranty? Do you reckon you can do it? Again, don't worry if you can't.
Let me just try and see. Screen share. Right, that looks like it's working now.
Oh, perfect.
Right, hang on. Got all these tabs I've got open up here. Right.
Okie doke.
Okay, so what do you want me to do?
So in the middle of the page, draw on the bottom. You know you've got this square. That's perfect. So on the bottom line of the square, just draw a man right in the middle.
Okay.
Or just a line.
Right here.
Yeah, perfect. Just draw a line. That's a man. And then draw one on the right-hand side.
Right, on the right-hand side, yeah.
And then perfect. And then another one on the left-hand side. And then from that guy on the left-hand side, from what is effectively his head, so the top point, just draw a line to the feet and head of the first guy, the guy in the middle. That's it. So this is Ranty looking at Barrow in finesse at 18 miles. Yeah? Now do the same with the second guy.
Okay.
Perfect. So obviously the angle to the second guy, I'll draw it round with my mouse for the audience. So this guy has got a smaller angle than this guy. In fact, because it's double the distance, it's about half the angle. What a shock. Yeah, so this angle here is bigger than this angle here because he's looking over a greater distance. Well, when we're talking about the diffraction limit, the angular resolution limit, it is how far will you see based on the angle that you can resolve with your camera based on its diffraction limit. Well, if in this instance, if we say this is the middle guy is 17 miles and the right hand side guy, can you just make it a bit smaller, Auntie? It's just off my page slightly. Perfect. So this guy here is, say, 30 miles. This guy here is 15 miles. Well, by increasing the distance, you have reduced the angle. Well, if you're calculating where something disappears based on its diffraction limit or angular resolution limit, the first thing you need to take into account is how big that angle is based on its distance. Well, that's completely excluded in this view, because what the globers will do is draw one line from point A to point B and say, look, on a flat plane, you've got a perfect line of sight. There's nothing obscuring it. There's nothing in the way. So it's always about obstruction, isn't it? Well, the reason it's about obstruction is because in this view, we're not looking like in this view, where we're seeing things converge to the midpoint. Yeah, this water isn't cascading down towards the camera. It's rising up to the midpoint because of perspective. Well, you don't see that in Muppet vision or orthographic view. We're not looking from this guy's eyes. We're just seeing the side profile of what he sees. So it wouldn't matter if I push this guy. Let's now say that instead of this being 15 and 30 miles, let's say this is 10 miles and this is 10,000 miles. So the guy on the right is 10,000 miles away. Well, according to them, you can still see it because all they'd draw is this top line, one line, and they'd say geometrically, on a flat plane, you can see this dude 10,000 miles away. There's nothing in the way. And then what they do is they bend this bottom line and say, look, Earth curve has got in the way. That's why you can't see it, because this flat line isn't flat. Side profile. This line is actually curved. And look, there's an obstruction between you and the thing in the distance. That's why you can't see it. No, the angle is reduced. And if you push this out to 10,000 miles, the angle's so small that you can't resolve the information in it. But they would just say, oh, that doesn't matter. We don't need perspective because it's just geometric Earth curve getting in the way. That's why you can't see it anymore. So that's how they've hijacked perspective. Muppet vision, orthographic view, and an exclusion / hijacking of angular size. That's it. That's all they've done.
Also, I want to show that, I'm just going to draw some waves in here. Hang on. Let's just get rid of that. So I'm just going to draw some little waves in here. So let's say these waves are just, I don't know, 4 feet in height, yeah? So at some point, they will intersect the first one. But if we draw the same height of these waves here, they'll intersect the line of sight much nearer, i.e. cutting a lot more of the bottom off. So
exactly.
So now if I draw a new line, hang on, let's get the black up.
Just while you're doing that, so where my mouse is now, if you can pay attention to do mice while Ranty's doing stuff. So just at this point, Ranty said that these waves are 4 feet. Well, based on this guy being 6 foot, just for the sake of argument, you would say, well, there's no way a wave here could ever obstruct his view because it's lower than his eye line. Again, they're only drawing one line, the globe proponents, when they say this. One line between his eyes and this guy's eyes. So that one line, no, it's never obstructed. Yeah, the waves are still lower than his eye line. So according to them, geometrically, no obstruction. However, as Ranty's now beautifully illustrated, wave here won't obstruct this guy. There's no obstruction. Whereas when you push it out further, suddenly the waves are intersecting your eye line, your angular view, your perspective view, and a 4 foot wave absolutely can obstruct something that's behind it further away because of perspective. Sorry, Ranty.
That's fine, and obviously, the more you stretch this out, if you was to add another few people or a few lines further along, the angle will be so shallow that perhaps a 2 foot wave would obscure a mountain in the distance, just because it's so shallow.
Exactly. This is just all perspective, and in this particular view, you can't get any idea of perspective because you're not seeing from the eyes of the observer. You're seeing the side of his head and what he can see in the same frame. Well, I will never, ever, ever be able to present you a picture to compare to this where we see the observer's head. We never, ever see our own head in the observation we take. So here's a picture that's taken by Ranty of this mountain. We can't see Ranty We can't see the side of his eyeballs. We can't see the side of the P1000. We can just see the perspective view taken from this position. We don't see the side of the person taking the picture. That's orthographic or Muppet vision. Well, they've done that so that they can remove perspective. So there you go.
That's what you see.
Yeah, this is what we see. Exactly this, although obviously a depiction and not a picture, is the same as this. It's a perspective view with what you see from your observer. And like I just said, there's no person in this picture, right, Ranty? You can't see your own head in this picture. Oh no, it's not a picture.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't see. And essentially, this is going to be used in the video, but you can't see. You should be able to see stuff, but you can't because you just don't see it. It's not there. It's invisible, and it's lost due to its angular size.
Right on. Right, I'm going to round out the after show, guys. Is there anything else you want to add? That was really ace, by the way. I'm glad we got that on the end of this.
Yeah, it's good.
Any more for any more?
I'm all good.
Cool.
Flat.
Certainly is. Well, with that, I'll say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the audience in the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. If you need something to keep you occupied after this premiering stream is over, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making today's live show and after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!